We are streaming live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rhythm Radio, where we come together every week to talk about creating brand new rhythms in our lives, in our face. We are streaming live. Oh, I can hear myself. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rhythm Radio, where we come together every week. There we go. We had a little echo going on there. Let's try that again. Take two. Hello, everybody, with no echo. I think I had too many windows open. It happens, technology. Yeah. So welcome to Rhythm Radio, where we come together every week to talk about creating new rhythms in our lives, in our health, in our time, in our days. And I am super excited for our conversation today, and you may notice something a little different about Rhythm Radio today. Normally, we are live on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Time in our Facebook group, but today my beautiful and fabulous guest, Leonie Dawson, is coming to us from Australia, so we have to adjust the time so we're not in the middle of the night, either of us. So welcome, and thanks for being here.
Oh, Kristen, it's a joy to be here.
So I'm going to give people a quickie on your background. And Leonie describes herself as a massive hippie, love that, introverted weirdo who has been able to achieve all her dreams, including becoming an internationally best-selling author, as well as generating $11 million in revenue working 10 hours a week. Mind blown on that. So that is pretty fabulous. And in preparation to chatting with you today, I went back in my archives. I've got many years of this, and I pulled out an old workbook, and I pulled an older one, 2017, so I could kind of look back and see what's happened since then.
It's so amazing to be able to look back at previous years and your dreams and your goals and how much you've evolved. It's amazing.
It really is. So let's start with some basics like this beautiful, I know you offer many courses and you've been blogging for years. Let's start with this workbook because it does seem to be a real cornerstone that's been a staple for you for years. And you're an artist and a creative, and yet you got this goal planning tool. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's kind of a juxtaposition to a lot of creatives out there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, if left to my own devices, I can absolutely kind of whirl off into a space where, I dream a lot and think a lot about stuff, but don't necessarily make everything that I want to make happen. So it was, for me, I discovered the joy of goal setting maybe 2007 or so, and it started really working for me and for my kind of fledgling little business at the time. And I thought, oh, okay, this is amazing. And I don't want to just set goals for money and my career. I want to set goals for every part of my life. I want to set goals for my creativity and my spirituality and my family and the adventures we want to have. I want to dream all those possibilities into being. And when I looked around on the market to see what was out there that would help me set goals each year, there was really nothing at that point. It was all very black and white, very masculine kind of focused. And I thought, oh, I'll just make something cute for myself to fill out then. That's rainbows and unicorns, and encapsulates all the areas that I want. And then after I made it, I was like, oh, this is a bit cute. Maybe I should offer it online. And, I thought maybe 100 people would get it. And I thought that would be super cool because I was just happy just to make it for myself. But I think nearly 450,000 people have used it worldwide now. And it's just 11 years on.
Wow, that is amazing. And so what do you tell people who are resistant to the idea of setting goals for all those aspects of your life? I mean, you really expand beyond, as you said, monetary or numerical types of goals into really a holistic picture. And a lot of people will be like, either they don't want to set a goal because they don't want to not make it, or they just go with the flow and see what happens. So what would you tell someone like that?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that question? The internet just paused.
Yeah, that's okay. So a lot of people are afraid to set a goal, especially with like in different areas of their life, like you mentioned, in a real holistic way. Because they're afraid they just won't reach it, so they don't want to set it, or sometimes because they just want to go with the flow and see where they end up. What do you say to someone like that this can be so powerful?
Well, just experiment. Like if your life is working bloody brilliantly for you at the moment, cool, don't bother. Like don't bother trying. But if you're longing for some kind of change, it's useful just to try out something new, test what works, and test what doesn't. And it's something that has worked for a lot of people. And when you look at the statistics, 80% of people don't set any goals. 16% of people think about their goals but don't write it down. 3% write down their goals and never look at them again. And just 1% of people write down their goals and regularly review them. And it's those people who are among the highest achievers in society, in all areas, academically and business and sporting and all of those things. So it is kind of a very well researched process, and you might as well experience it.
Yeah. So of all the goals that you've been setting over these years using these tools, what was the one that like knocked you off your socks and that it was a stretch goal, but it happened and you're like, what?
Oh, they're all stretched. Like everything always feels like a bit of a stretch goal. I go, I still probably will always remember like the first goal I set, which was to earn $30,000 a year from my business in the next 12 months. And when I looked, I was like, I don't know how to make $30,000 a year from what I'm doing. And instead of just going, well, it's not going to happen. Instead, a part of my brain was like, right, well, I'm sure other people have worked out how to do this. Clearly, people are making $30,000 a year from their businesses. So all I need to do is learn what they have learned. And it really set me on the path of like, oh, okay, I'm going to become a student of business and marketing, and I'm going to learn about that. And I didn't go to university to learn it. I just read books and blogs and tested different things, and it worked. And $30,000 a year, and it was a miracle.
Yeah. It was a miracle with science behind it and tools.
Yeah.
Right. So
and a miracle I've been able to, a miracle I've been able to keep reproducing and building upon,
Yeah. So when when I read that you're working 10 hours a week and you're generating a really profitable business, how do you get to that 30? It's a long road and lots of mistakes, I'm sure, but how do you get from that 30,000, I want to make $30,000 a year, to, in not that long of a time, really, to the 11 million mark? Like when someone hears that, I think it's like, oh, wow, what's the secret sauce?
Oh, sure. It's like, each year it was just like, okay, what do I want to create next? What do I want to create next? So after 30,000, it was 60,000 a year. And after that, it was, 120,000 a year. And just kept on building and stretching and learning what I needed to along the way. I don't bring in $11 million in revenue a year. That's kind of like the culmination. The $11 million is what I've brought in since I began my business. But I'm ridiculously thrilled with that number, and thrilled that I've got 90% profit margins, and thrilled that I've been very true to myself in terms of not working a full-time load. I've got kids, and that's been my biggest priority. So I didn't set out to create $11 million. That's never been a goal of mine. The goal was just for the next 12 months to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, I think you bring up something important that I think there's a misconception that in order to be largely a financial success, that you have to sacrifice the other areas of your life. And you're really a great example of not having to do that.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you focus in the right place?
Well, so I've never had the luxury of working full time in my business. In the first year, in the first years, I was still working in the Australian government. And so it was on the side. And then I only quit that job when I had a baby, and it was a baby who didn't sleep. And so it was like, right, okay, how do we make this happen? And I think, people are always like, how do you do a 10-hour work week? And I was like, Tim Ferriss wrote the book on it, 2007. He wrote the 4-hour work week, and I just took it seriously. I took it literally, guys. So that's all you need to do. Make sure you're just doing only the important stuff and killing off the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I see so many times people, but especially entrepreneurs, that are spinning their wheels on so many things that aren't really important, but it makes us feel like we're busy, got a
Yeah.
full schedule, and then we complain that it's too much work, you know?
Yeah.
What, yeah. One of the things that I've seen over the years with you is you are unapologetically yourself, with really telling your story out there and being very bold about it. Tell me a little bit about how that has been for you, that journey has been for you, because there's kind of like the risk and reward of telling your story in this very filtered Instagram world.
Yeah, right. I mean, it always surprises me when people talk about how I'm unapologetically myself, as though it's a unique thing. And I just think, what? How on earth did we get to this point? That being unapologetically yourself is a unique thing, because that's what we're born to do, is just be ourselves. It's not like all of like the zebras are wandering around out there going, oh God, I wish like a stripe on me was different, then I would be worthy. No, they're just like, I'm a zebra, I am having a great time, I am eating some grass in the sunlight, and this is golden. And so I regard life in the same way. Like, I don't believe any part of me should be different from what it is. And I believe it's a gift to have myself, and I can just enjoy it. And I'm not like a perfect human with a perfect body. Like, I've got, um, I've got disabilities, and I've got, all kinds of stuff happening, but it's still a gift. It's still a scrumptious gift. And it's just how this constellation of cells was put together. And now I can't remember what your original question was, because I just love talking about it.
No, and that's just such an important point. You touched on exactly what I was getting at, is how did we get so far away from that being, the norm? And how
Probably.
can we start to bridge that gap? Because, what can we do as, women, as leaders, as moms, to start to bridge that gap when we see all this filtered, nonsense and things that aren't real out there? How do we get our next generation to embrace that?
Well, like
So it's
a
not a
deep one.
question.
Yeah, I think like model it. So like the next generation can build upon it. And also they'll do their journeys in their own way as well. For me, I've always felt like sharing my story honestly was, it's the path to gold, in terms of it's the path to golden healing. It's the path to forming deep connections. If I write something that's not real, I don't feel very proud of it. And it doesn't get me in my heart and in my gut. And I think a testament of true writing is like, if I have cried while writing it, or like when I read it back to myself and I go, oh, yes, that is at the heart of the matter. that's truly healing, and it also forms incredible connections with other people. If I just write some bullshit like this, I don't have that, that visceral experience myself, and other people don't experience that visceral healing either. So there's just been so many benefits to me sharing my story. And honestly, I don't really see any downsides to me being vulnerable. Like some people, can have kind of odd reactions to it. Like sometimes I get emails like, you shouldn't be writing those things because it's not professional. And I'm like, I give a fuck. Like I didn't sign up to be a professional. I'm just here to share my story. And it's okay if it doesn't resonate with people. But for like the one person it doesn't resonate with, there's 1,000 people out there going, oh, thank God, thank you for sharing your actual truth. So I think it's a win-win situation, really.
Yeah. And I think it's so needed, especially with women. I hate to stereotype us, but we are so much harder on ourselves, from what I can see, than the men in my life, right? We are just so hard on ourselves, and we have to start being a cheerleader for one another too, so that we create that vulnerable space so that people can share their stories. And always, but now more than ever, I think too, with everything we have gone through in the past year and the journeys that we've been going, especially in the area of mental health, we need to start being able to talk about that. And I know you talk about those kinds of things often in your work.
Yeah, of course, because I don't see any shame in like having a nervous system that's bodgy, it's like I wouldn't be ashamed of a leg that was broken. Why would I be ashamed of the fact that my family genetic disposition is my people live long lives, but like mentally not great. And so and that's okay. Like that is part of that's how it comes through. And so it's my job just to tend to that as well as I can, with medication and with therapy and with good self-care and really good boundaries. And I'm not going to hide that from people. Why would I hide that? I'm not going to hide a broken leg.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so valuable right now, and we need to have more of those conversations with people, I think, because there's just a lot of people hurting right now, and we need to be able to create more of safe conversations with people, and just like the broken leg, just take care of it, address it, and treat it. It is what it is. Let's just take care of that and heal it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have a bit of a care plan about it. It's really helpful, really useful, very healing.
Yeah. Now you mentioned self-care. What are some of the top self-care? We all, I think that self-care sometimes gets a bad rap because people think it's just like going and getting a massage or a manicure. What do you feel like is the real essence for self-care for you?
For me, an enormous part of self-care is solitude. And my well fills up when I'm alone, and so I have to be really careful as a mother and as somebody out in the world that I have enough time to just be with myself. And even if that means just being able to, I love working, because it's what a gift to be able to write for a living. I love that. And making sure that I can't just work all the time either. I need to be filling up my well with good ideas and good inspiration. And, I need to be journaling. I need to be doing art journaling. I need to be taking other people's e-courses about, creativity and Buddhism and, all the things. And I need to make sure every single weekend I have a solo mama retreat in bed. So my kids run wild for the afternoon, and, they're kind of older, so they're doing their own, little creative projects and stuff anyway, but I'm in bed for a couple of hours and I'm reading books and just having a lovely time. And that's so important for me to, be able to go through the week with a full tank.
Yeah, that is gold. That really is. And sadly, so many women say, well, I can't do that because I have kids running around, or because everybody needs me to do this and that. And I just hope that people hear that message and say, I believe you can't not do that.
Yeah,
You really can't not.
absolutely. And even when my kids were like toddlers, I would still do the same thing. And, they would just toddle about. And that, like if they were still breastfeeding or whatever, they'd come up for a breastfeed, or they'd come up for a cuddle and, maybe fall asleep beside me or whatever. Totally fine. But I'm still like, this is where I am. I am in bed. And the kids kind of realize like, oh, I can get my needs met in other ways. I can go ask dad to do things. I can, do this thing instead.
Yeah. So you mentioned getting, filling your cup and getting inspired by reading and everything. Where do you go for your inspiration?
Oh, all over the place. I can read up to 400 books a year. And it's just kind of an essential. Yeah. It's just an essential part of my process. And
the day.
It is. Sometimes on weekends it can be like 4 a day or whatever, just to, yeah. And they're a blend of books. There's non-fiction, and then there's graphic novels, and there's romance novels and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just like tomes that I have to studiously go through. It's like, oh, this is so enjoyable. Hooray.
That's impressive though. I'm an avid reader, but I'm like, my mind is blown right now.
It's like, give up, like stop watching TV or read books in front of the TV. And also earlier this year, I quit social media. And honestly, if any of you go, I don't have any time, quit social media. You just have so much enormous amounts of time for just crazy projects.
Yes, I did read that. And that was another question I had for you. I won't ask how has that been to quit social media, because it seems like a joy to me.
Amazing.
But a lot of business owners will say, oh, I need to be on there for my business. So how has that transition been for you, since you did build quite a bit online and had a strong online presence? How do you make that transition?
Well, like, here's the thing, like I've built online, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I've built all on social media. So social media does not equate to a lot online. It's only a recent invention. And here's the thing, businesses have been building businesses and been very successful for thousands of years, long before social media marketing came along. So there are literally thousands and thousands of ways for you to market your business without necessarily using social media marketing. So some things that I recommend businesses do is, one, actually look at your traffic and see where your traffic comes from, so you know what percent is coming from social media, because the answer might be surprising. Secondly, always have a plan to get people off social media and onto your mailing list. That is how to build a stable business, because the sands of social media can change all the time. And thirdly, if you are going to remain in social media space, make sure you systemate it as much as possible. You schedule stuff, and you very much limit your time. You have a very short list of things that you need to do on social media. You get on, you do it in 5 minutes time, and then you get off and you get on with your life and get on with other more important marketing activities.
Yeah, that is huge. That is inspiring. And I'm going to try to up my game in that exact area and follow your advice on that. I love that. I know we are almost out of time, but I had one more question for you, and also just a little story I want to share with you. But the question is, on your website, you said you were able to, achieve all your dreams doing this business. What else is on the dream list? There's got to be something next. What is the next big thing that's going to go in next year's workbook? Or maybe it's in this year's workbook.
In terms of my business, like, I am just so thrilled with what I'm doing. So whatever I want to create next, I'll just create it. So I'd possibly like to write another book this year. I'm not sure. I'll see how that goes. I just like let ideas come to me and then birth them as they come through. Keep on building and growing. And I'd like to invest actually in more ethical managed funds, which is really exciting for me. It's like it's like investing in stocks, but only in stocks that are like sustainable and, you know, green energy. And I just think that's a really important part of the fight against climate change. And maybe I think a big dream, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen, and it's okay either way, but I'd like to buy like a block of land to keep for wildlife, and just a place that we can just go and camp or whatever. That could possibly be fun too.
That would be fun. Well, in the past, I've looked at some of your blogs where you put out your different, you know, trips that you want, adventures that you want with your family, and, you know, places you want to live. And it's very inspiring to me. And I think, oh, I need more fun stuff, because I can very much tend to create business goals and, you know, domestic house goals, and not enough fun goals. I need more fun goals on there. Yes.
Fun goals are great.
So there was just one little story I wanted to share with you before we wrap up, just because I think it speaks to the power of your work and, you know, putting your ideas and dreams in the workbook. I realized it was 10 years ago last month, I was asked to host an internet radio show, which I did for about a year and a half before the station closed down. And for a year and a half, I hosted a show called A Matter of Balance, A Women's Guide to Health, Harmony, and Kick-Ass Heels. And when I was first asked to do it, I made a list of like 10 people that would be my dream guests to have on that show. And you were on that list. And now I never got around to reaching out to you back then. This is a decade ago, but I did write it down. And I think it was a live show also, with the time change and everything. It was not necessarily that feasible. But I did write it down. I probably still have it in a notebook or a journal somewhere. And then here we are a decade later having the conversation. So write it down, people, write it down, because you never know when an email, you know, when it's going to just pop up and manifest.
Oh, that is beautiful. That makes me so happy. And I love that you're like, you know, when you put it out, eventually that seed can take hold, you know?
It does. And you don't know when it's going to take hold. It might not take hold when you thought it would, or when you wanted it to, but someday it just may sprout out into a beautiful flower.
That is beautiful. You are a joy, Kristen. Thank you so much for doing this and inviting me to do this.
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure and my joy. And thank you for putting your beautiful light into this world. We need it. We've always needed it, but we need it now more than ever. Shine that light and help to encourage other people to do the same.
Oh, bless you, bless you, bless you for all the work that you do with women.
Thank you. And you too. And we will meet again, I'm sure. And I have a goal. Oh, I do have a goal I wrote down. I've been writing it down for, gosh, probably 20 years, to get to every continent. And Australia is one. I have 2 left, or no, except 3, but that's one of the ones left. I'll have 2 left after next year, and that's one of them. So I'm coming for you.
Oh my gosh, do it. Australia is just beyond. It is sacred. It really is. Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks, Leonie. Have a beautiful day, because it's 6:30 in the morning on Wednesday for you, right? We're seeing the future, or 7 in the morning for you now. So thanks for bringing the future to us, and thank you so much for your time. Blessings.
Bless you. Thank you, Kristen.
Bye-bye.